The city lights shimmered like far-off stars, enveloping the lively streets beneath in a dreamlike radiance. The sight was one I had long held dear, a representation of the pulsating energy that coursed through the heart of the city. As I crossed the threshold of our apartment, the familiar buzz of city life felt like a distant echo. The stillness enveloping our home was profound, a jarring contrast to the usual cacophony that welcomed me. Leaving the office ahead of schedule, I felt the weight of the day's meetings and the relentless paperwork urging me to find solace in my own sanctuary. I expected to discover my husband sprawled on the sofa, a glass of whiskey cradled in his hand, or maybe Ethan, my stepson, absorbed in one of his video games, the sound cranked up to obliterate the outside world. Instead, I found myself enveloped in darkness, with only a slender beam of light seeping through the gap beneath the living room door. A fleeting shadow of worry brushed against my thoughts as I gently eased the door open, bracing myself for the possibility of an unwelcome visitor. What I uncovered was astonishingly unforeseen. There, upon the sumptuous cushions of our sofa, reclined Ethan. His athletic form exuded a relaxed demeanor, yet it was infused with an intensity that could be felt even from the threshold. The television emitted a gentle, flickering glow that danced across his face, transforming it into a canvas of focus and delight. He appeared deeply lost in his thoughts, his posture revealing a vulnerable side I hadn't seen before. His movements were restless, filled with an energy that seemed both youthful and intense. A surge of disbelief enveloped me, my breath catching in my throat as the gravity of the situation sank in. Ethan, my stepson, found himself lost in a moment of self-indulgence, blissfully oblivious to my existence. The size of his endowment was astonishing, a clear indication of his maturity, and it was presented without any reservations. For an instant, I stood still, my thoughts a tempest of clashing feelings. Embarrassment washed over me, a profound unease at having encroached upon such a private moment. Yet, intertwined with that discomfort, a spark of curiosity ignited. A forbidden yearning to comprehend the young man he had transformed into stirred within my soul. The thought flitted through my mind, swiftly dismissed, yet the guilt that trailed behind it gnawed persistently at my conscience. Ethan released a gentle sigh. With his eyes shut, he surrendered to the exquisite sensations that his own touch evoked. The sound jolted me from my daydream, and I understood I needed to depart before he became aware of my presence lingering in the shadows. With all the elegance I could summon, I withdrew, my heart thundering like a drum within my chest. The trek along the corridor to my sanctuary seemed to stretch on forever, each footfall burdened by the gravity of the events I had just experienced. Upon entering, I shut the door with a deliberate motion, pressing my back against it as if to create a barrier against the tumultuous emotions that loomed, ready to engulf me. The room served as a refuge, an intimate haven where I could reflect on the night's occurrences in quiet contemplation. I approached the window, pulling the curtains back to behold the sprawling city beyond. The lights sparkled in their own serene dance, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Perched on the edge of the bed, my thoughts danced chaotically, evading any attempt at coherence. Ethan's image lingered vividly in my mind, his imposing figure and the expression of sheer, unfiltered joy that adorned his face. It was a facet of him I had yet to encounter, one that captivated and unsettled me in equal measure. I shed my clothes, each motion feeling almost automatic, and nestled under the sheets. The crisp sheets brushed against my skin, providing scant solace as my mind looped through the living room scene repeatedly. No matter how hard I tried to dispel them, the thoughts lingered, enveloping me like a delicate silk shawl on a warm summer night. I lay there, the darkness wrapping around me like a shroud, providing no escape from the unyielding loop of the evening's encounter. The walls, once a refuge, now felt like they were closing in, silently observing the storm of emotions that swirled inside me. No matter how hard I attempted to dispel them, the thoughts clung to me with a persistence that was both infuriating and strangely captivating. Ethan's face, inadvertently revealed, was a haunting presence that would not be banished. His considerable stature, the raw masculinity he exuded, was a revelation that dismantled the memory of the boy I once recognized. As the night deepened, my battle against the swell of my own desires turned into a fruitless pursuit. The forbidden held a captivating charm, a siren's song that lured me closer to the treacherous cliffs of moral breach. I found myself lost in a tumultuous ocean of emotions, where guilt and excitement crashed together like two powerful waves. In the quiet embrace of my bed, I wrapped myself in the blanket, seeking comfort as I tried to process the events of the evening, each caress a silent rebellion against the nurturing identity I had meticulously crafted through the years. Yet, the treacherous notion of Ethan's hand replacing my own sent shivers of anticipation through me, igniting a flame that had lain dormant for far too long. I surrendered to the allure of the fantasy, permitting myself to navigate the intricate shapes of my desire, the profound emptiness that longed for fulfillment. The intense yearning that had surged within me from the instant I beheld Ethan's bare figure now clamored for liberation, and I found myself utterly unable to resist it. My breath came in quick, jagged bursts as I maneuvered through the perilous depths of my own desire. The allure of the forbidden, the intoxicating vision of Ethan's hands, his mouth, his body enveloping mine, became a powerful potion that blurred my clarity and ignited my longing. As I approached the peak of my self-indulgence, the lines separating reality from fantasy faded into indistinction. The waves of ecstasy that enveloped me served as both a refuge and a condemnation, a fleeting instance of unblemished joy marred by the awareness of its inherent transgression. In the hushed aftermath, as I reclined, weary and grappling with the enormity of my own misdeeds, the burden of my choices enveloped me like a heavy cloak. I had traversed a boundary, not just within the confines of my own mind, but in the fundamental nature of my existence. The night, once a sanctuary for contemplation and rest, had transformed into a theater for my own ethical turmoil, a tale in which I had inadvertently assigned myself the roles of both hero and antagonist. As slumber enveloped me, it came with the weight of a heart burdened by the knowledge of the abyss, revealing a shadowy mirror of my own concealed yearnings. As the first light of dawn approached, it would unveil the hidden truths that the night had cloaked in darkness. Ethan and I would sit opposite one another at the breakfast table, the ordinary exchange of morning pleasantries heavy with the silent understanding of the events that had unfolded in the depths of our solitary reflections. Would he notice the transformation within me, the delicate alteration in the way I gazed upon him? Would he perceive the emerging recognition of his identity as a man, rather than merely the boy I had nurtured? These questions lingered in the atmosphere, shadowy figures that taunted me with the allure of truths waiting to be unveiled. With the early morning sun spilling a warm amber glow across the kitchen, I engaged in the familiar rituals of preparing breakfast with a sense of purpose. The crackle of bacon in the skillet, the deep scent of freshly ground coffee wafting through the air. These sensory delights often served as a source of solace, a steadfast presence amidst the shifting patterns of our existence. Yet today, they faded into the background, overshadowed by the chaotic thoughts that whirled within my mind. Ethan, now a university student, had evolved into a figure of remarkable maturity and self-reliance. However, the night before had peeled back the layers of scholarly pursuits and aspirations, exposing a vulnerability that caught me off guard. As I arranged the breakfast table with meticulous care, my mind wandered to the recollection of his vulnerable instant, a fleeting glimpse that revealed his deepest yearnings. The echo of footsteps on the staircase heralded Ethan's arrival from the room above. He strode into the kitchen, exuding the effortless assurance of youth, a laptop cradled under one arm and a textbook firmly grasped in the other. "Morning," he mumbled, placing his belongings on the counter before pouring himself a glass of orange juice. "Good morning, Ethan," I said, observing him with a fresh perspective that I wished would not reveal the chaos within me. "How are your classes progressing?" He savored a sip of his juice, reclining against the counter as he embarked on an intricate narrative of his recent scholarly pursuits. I absorbed his words, nodding at the appropriate moments, while my thoughts swirled in a chaotic dance of feelings, completely detached from his discourse on economics and literature. As he spoke, I couldn't help but steal glances at him, observing how his shirt clung to his broadening shoulders, the stubble that shadowed his jawline, and the subtle flecks of muscle beneath the fabric of his pants. Ethan had shed the awkwardness of his teenage years, transforming into someone entirely different from the gangly youth I once knew. He had transformed into a young man of notable stature and strength, a truth that had been underscored with striking clarity just a few hours earlier. As he completed his meal and began to collect his belongings in preparation for departure, I sensed that the moment had arrived to confront the matter that had loomed between us, quietly yet persistently seeking acknowledgement. "Ethan, before you leave, there's something I need to discuss with you," I said, my voice unwavering even as a wave of nerves stirred within me. He halted, his backpack dangling loosely from one shoulder, and glanced at me with a look of gentle intrigue. "Of course, what's on your mind?" I inhaled deeply, sensing that I was perched on the brink of a great unknown, ready to abandon all restraint. "Last night, I returned home sooner than anticipated, and I unintentionally stumbled upon something quite intimate." The hue vanished from Ethan's complexion, his eyes expanding in disbelief as the truth settled in. Did you see me?" I inclined my head slightly, presenting him with a gentle, encouraging smile. "Indeed, I did, and I wish to convey that I harbor no anger or disappointment. On the contrary, I comprehend that what you experienced is a natural facet of life, a personal moment that you likely never anticipated would be revealed." Ethan appeared to withdraw, his discomfort evident in the heavy stillness that enveloped us after my confession. "I can't believe this is happening," he muttered, his gaze locked resolutely on the floor. "Ethan, please look at me," I implored softly, holding my gaze steady until his eyes finally found mine before I spoke again. "There is no cause for embarrassment. You are a vibrant, strong young man, and it is entirely natural to delve into the exploration of your own body. However, I recognize that undertaking this journey in solitude can feel rather isolating." He stared at me, evidently surprised by the frankness of our discussion. "I find myself at a loss for words." "You need not utter a word," I assured him, extending my hand across the table to softly clasp his. "What I wish to provide is something meaningful, a sanctuary, a realm where you can delve into your desires free from the burdens of concealment or guilt." A spark of curiosity pierced the fog of his shame. "Could you clarify what you mean?" I gripped his hand firmly, my eyes steady as I presented my proposal. "I propose that, should you be open to it, we might find a moment for you to immerse yourself in your thoughts and desires, all the while understanding that you are not genuinely solitary. I am present, observing you, offering a feeling of companionship and comprehension in what is typically a solitary endeavor." Ethan's lips moved in a silent rhythm, his thoughts visibly swirling as he grappled with the weight of my proposition. "Are you suggesting that you wish to observe me?" "Only if you feel at ease with the notion," I stressed, mindful of honoring his independence in the situation. "We would delineate distinct boundaries, ensuring that you retain complete authority over the circumstances at every moment. This is not a matter of self. Rather, it is about fostering an environment where you can express your true self, unencumbered by the weight of judgment or reproach." He remained in a state of disbelief, his gaze fixed on mine, as he wrestled with the weight of my suggestion, time stretching endlessly around us. "I need to think about it," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "This is quite overwhelming." "Certainly, take as long as you require," I responded, letting go of his hand and allowing him the space to gather his thoughts. "There is truly no pressure, Ethan. Your emotions and sense of ease hold the utmost significance for me." The remainder of our morning exchanges felt muted, the atmosphere heavy with the gravity of our discussion. As Ethan departed for his university classes, an air of unresolved tension lingered between us, a delicate thread stretched tight, poised to either snap or be intricately woven into the tapestry of our connection. The hours unfolded, the apartment enveloped in a hushed stillness following Ethan's exit. As I drifted into contemplation, I revisited our dialogue, weighing the possible consequences of my bold suggestion. It was undoubtedly a risk, yet one I felt could pave the way for a profound connection and a greater sense of trust between us. As dusk settled in and the shadows stretched over the gleaming hardwood floors, A blend of excitement and unease washed over me. Ethan was expected to come back from his classes, and I realized that we would need to discuss our new arrangement once more. I had set the stage for a significant transformation in our relationship, and now the choice rested with him to determine if he was ready to embark on that journey alongside me. As I immersed myself in the preparation of dinner, the routine activities offered a much-needed diversion from the chaotic thoughts racing through my mind. The aroma of garlic and herbs wafted through the air, creating a soothing sensory backdrop to the intricate emotional terrain I was traversing. As Ethan stepped through the front door, his face bore the marks of careful reflection. We shared cordial remarks, and as we settled at the dinner table, I noticed the cogs of contemplation whirring behind his introspective eyes. He had evidently devoted the day to contemplating his choices, evaluating the possible risks and rewards of the journey I had presented to him. As we tidied the table side by side, the air between us crackled with unspoken tension. The time had come. It was now or never. The moment of truth was upon us. "Ethan," I started, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "Have you reflected on our discussion from this morning?" He paused, his hands frozen mid-motion as he dried the dish. "I've thought about it," he admitted, his gaze locking onto mine with a fresh determination. "And I have come to a decision. I am open to the possibility of giving it a try. However, it is essential that we establish some fundamental guidelines beforehand." A surge of relief enveloped me, swiftly succeeded by a resolute sense of purpose. "Certainly, we will proceed at a measured pace, ensuring that both of us feel at ease with every step. This journey is fundamentally rooted in trust and respect. Above all else, we collaboratively define the boundaries of our new agreement, delving into details such as the timing and location of our arrangement, as well as the signals we would employ to convey consent and comfort levels. The experience felt almost dreamlike as we navigated the intricacies of such a personal agreement. Yet, within that exchange, there existed a profound beauty in the transparency and sincerity that connected us. As the evening waned, we reached a consensus to embark on our arrangement the next night, allowing us both the necessary time to brace ourselves mentally and emotionally for the significant transformation in our relationship. Ethan withdrew to his room, leaving me in solitude with my reflections, the gravity of our choice draping over me like a gentle, all-encompassing veil. The next evening descended, shrouded in a hushed expectancy of what lay ahead. The apartment basked in the gentle embrace of ambient lighting, enveloping the dining room in a soft, flattering glow as Ethan and I prepared to share our meal. With meticulous attention, I crafted a dish that embodied both warmth and elegance. A roast chicken infused with herbs and lemon, paired with a vibrant assortment of roasted vegetables and a refreshing salad of mixed greens. As we settled into our seats facing each other, the gentle clink of cutlery against fine china provided a melodic backdrop to our dialogue. Initially, our conversation meandered through mundane topics: Ethan's experiences at the university, an intriguing article I had come across, the recent cultural happenings in the city. However, as the night progressed, our exchange evolved into something more spirited, infused with playful innuendos and exchanged looks that suggested a deeper, unspoken purpose behind our gathering. "I must say, Ethan, you appear quite captivated this evening," I noted, a playful smile gracing my lips as I savored my wine. He met my smile with one of his own, tinged with bemusement. "Indeed, occasions like this, filled with warmth and connection, are rare treasures, aren't they?" The laughter that ensued was airy and communal, a fleeting moment of relief that alleviated some of the tension that had been accumulating since our discussion the day before. We savored our meal, the bottles of wine we uncorked easing our reservations and amplifying the bond that was swiftly transforming into something much deeper. Following dinner, we made our way to the living room, where the inviting plush cushions of the sofa urged us to relax with a nightcap. Ethan poured us each a glass of cognac, the rich amber liquid swirling enticingly as he presented mine with a flourish. He raised his glass to new experiences, his voice laced with a blend of excitement and apprehension. "To new experiences," I proclaimed, the sound of our glasses clinking in a toast reverberating throughout the space. We sat close together, our bodies turned toward each other, the atmosphere crackling with the energy of unvoiced longings. Our dialogue wandered across a tapestry of subjects, each thread intricately woven with hints and concealed allusions to the real intent behind our gathering. As we completed our drinks, I noticed a change in Ethan's demeanor, a silent reflection transforming into an emerging audacity. "Shall we proceed to the next chapter of our evening?" I inquired, my voice soft yet resolute, a quiet acknowledgement of our shared agreement. Ethan nodded, his gaze fixed on mine with a fervor that sent my heart racing in my chest. "Indeed, let us proceed," he responded, his tone unwavering even as an unmistakable tension lingered beneath his utterance. I stood up from the sofa and lowered the lights, allowing the room to transform into a space filled with gentle shadows and muted tones. Settling into my seat once more, I let my eyes wander to Ethan, silently beckoning him to take the floor. He inhaled deeply, his hands poised on his thighs as he appeared to summon his resolve. With a gaze filled with quiet resolve, he grasped the hem of his shirt and gradually pulled it over his head, unveiling the sculpted contours of his chest and abdomen in the softly illuminated space. My breath hitched in my throat at the sight of him, his form a testament to the man he had evolved into. I observed, captivated, as he unfastened his jeans and let them fall away, revealing him dressed solely in his boxer briefs, the material taut against the undeniable signs of his desire. "Do you feel at ease?" I inquired softly, my voice just above a whisper, seeking reassurance that we were both comfortable with the scene that was about to unfold. "Indeed," he affirmed, his gaze locking onto mine with a stark openness that was simultaneously poignant and intensely captivating. With that, Ethan shut his eyes and reclined against the sofa, his hands gliding purposefully toward the elastic waistband of his underwear. He hesitated briefly, as though bracing himself for the onslaught of feelings that were bound to come, before he shifted uncomfortably, clearly navigating a moment of personal vulnerability. A warmth enveloped me as I beheld him, his hand gliding along the length of his shaft, each stroke a delicate interplay of shadows and light in the softly illuminated space. My breath appeared to align with the cadence of his movements, my heart racing in my chest as I observed him immersed in the depths of his own self-indulgence. I watched him intently, an unspoken observer in his solitary experience. The boundaries of propriety and decorum that had previously characterized our relationship appeared to vanish in the presence of this unrestrained, fervent expression of longing. There was a certain tenderness to the act, an unspoken understanding that our actions stemmed from trust and a profound, if unconventional, affection. As the seconds slipped away, Ethan's breath became increasingly strained, his body coiled tight with the impending peak, the muscles in his thighs and abdomen tensed, his hand moving with a growing urgency as he pursued the release that lay just ahead. As the echoes of the moment faded, he remained still for a heartbeat, his chest heaving with each uneven breath, until at last, he opened his eyes and shifted his gaze toward me. In that instant, the vulnerability mirrored in his eyes served as a profound reminder of the connection we had cultivated, a connection that surpassed the conventional limits of our relationship and delved into unexplored emotional realms. As I began to rise from the sofa, determined to grant Ethan the space and privacy he might require in the aftermath of his vulnerability, his hand reached out, softly encircling my wrist. The contact was charged, a silent request for intimacy that ignited a thrill of expectation racing through my bloodstream. "Stay," he said, his voice a gentle plea that resonated with a profound part of my being. "I desire for you to be involved in this, genuinely involved in it." I paused, the gravity of his request lingering in the space that separated us. The boundaries we had meticulously crafted appeared to tremble before me, as the distinctions between observer and participant began to intertwine seamlessly. Thoughts surged through my mind, swirling with the weight of his request, the possible consequences of breaching a boundary that had, until now, remained untouchable. Yet, as I gazed into Ethan's eyes, I perceived more than mere desire mirrored in their depths. A deep desire for intimacy lingered, an aspiration for a bond that went beyond the mere physical act we were considering. It was an invitation to shed the vestiges of our former selves and welcome the intricate tapestry of our evolving connection. With an air of inevitability, I nodded, my agreement offered with the same thoughtfulness and deliberation that had characterized each phase of our journey up to this point. "All right," I murmured, my voice unwavering even as a flurry of nerves fluttered in my stomach. "I shall remain." Ethan's relief was evident, his grip loosening around my wrist as he gently led me back down onto the sofa beside him. His touch began with a hesitance, a delicate journey across the shapes of my body, veiled by the layers of my attire. Every touch, every tender embrace, fueled the smoldering flame that had sparked within me the instant I first beheld his bare figure. As his hands became more daring, slipping beneath the hem of my blouse, I felt myself arching into his touch, my body reacting with a readiness that contradicted my earlier reluctance. The touch of his fingers on my skin was an exquisite blend of the unknown and the known, a tantalizing pleasure that ignited my senses with an intense longing. The unmistakable evidence of his rekindled desire pressed against my hip, a palpable reminder of the impact our shared experience was having on him. The feeling was intoxicating, a rush of power in realizing that I could provoke such a reaction from this robust, passionate young man who had laid bare his deepest longings before me. With a surprising boldness, I reached down, my hand moving in harmony with his as we navigated the edges of our newfound closeness. The intertwined experiences of offering and embracing pleasure melded us into one, forging a continuous cycle of yearning that allowed no space for uncertainty or remorse. Our movements grew increasingly frantic, the once serene sanctuary of the living room morphing into an intimate domain where only the two of us and the intense bond we shared existed, spiraling swiftly beyond our grasp. Ethan's breath quickened, each inhalation a sharp gasp, his body tightening under my fingers as he approached the brink of yet another climax. With a soft, resonant sigh that echoed from the core of his soul, Ethan reached his climax again, the heat enveloping my hand as I maintained my gentle caress. The image of him, stripped bare and completely exposed, acted as a potent catalyst that sent me spiraling, my own form trembling with an intensity that caught me off guard. In the stillness that ensued, we remained entwined, a mix of bodies and soft murmurs of affection. The boundaries that once defined the relationship between Elena and Stepson had faded into obscurity, as the roles we had previously occupied became irrelevant in light of the profound connection we had forged together. That night, we traversed a threshold, a boundary forever beyond our reach. The stepson sought a bond that surpassed the confines of his own grasp, while the Elena answered with an ardor that challenged the boundaries set by society. In this endeavor, we reshaped the contours of our connection, crafting a bond that was both exquisite and intricate. As we finally unraveled our connection and retreated to our separate chambers, I understood that there was no returning to the past we once knew. We set forth on a path that would irrevocably reshape our existence, a path defined by deep connections and the unforgettable recollection of a night that transformed us in ways we were just starting to grasp. The morning light streamed through the delicate curtains, bathing the kitchen in a warm, golden hue as I immersed myself in the comforting rituals of preparing breakfast. The fragrance of freshly brewed coffee intertwined with the savory scent of sizzling bacon, evoking a sensory memory of the routine that had once characterized our mornings. However, as I arranged the table for two, I found it impossible to overlook the subtle tension that lingered just beneath the facade of our shared domestic life. Ethan stepped into the kitchen, his movements tentative, his eyes wary as they locked onto mine. We offered courteous salutations, the phrases serving as mere conduits for the unexpressed emotions and reflections that loomed large within us. As we settled into our seats facing each other, the echoes of the previous night lingered around us, an undeniable weight that neither of us was prepared to confront just yet. We dined in quietude, the sound of cutlery meeting plates creating a sharp juxtaposition to the easy conversation that had previously graced our mornings. I observed Ethan from the shadows of my lashes, taking note of how his gaze danced away from mine, the faint blush that spread across his cheeks when our hands inadvertently touched. As we approached the conclusion of our meal, Ethan cleared his throat, his fingers tapping a restless rhythm on the tablecloth. "Regarding last night," he started, his voice scarcely rising above a whisper, "I wish to express Your touch held a unique quality. It exuded a sense of professionalism. A wave of relief enveloped me at his words, affirming the tenderness and caution I had shown during our intimate moment. It brings me joy to know you felt that way, Ethan. Ensuring that we both felt at ease and valued during the entire experience was of utmost importance to me. He nodded, his gaze locking onto mine with a fresh intensity. I certainly did. It's all about feeling at ease, and I found myself pondering the idea of perhaps doing it again in the future. The proposal, though not wholly surprising, ignited a wave of unease intertwined with excitement that surged through me. We navigated fragile terrain, every movement forward laden with the promise of deep connection and the risk of lasting sorrow. As I gazed into Ethan's eyes, a flicker of hope emerged, a yearning for further discovery that echoed my own silent desires. If that is something you genuinely desire, then we can certainly explore the possibility, I responded, my voice steady and composed, masking the storm of emotions that swirled inside me. It is essential that we maintain open lines of communication and set clear boundaries to ensure our arrangement stays healthy and consensual. Ethan's shoulders eased, the tension that had coiled within him appearing to melt away with my acknowledgement of his plea. I completely grasped the situation. Last night held significant meaning for me, and I believe it would be beneficial for us to further delve into this new facet of our relationship. I extended my hand across the table, enveloping his in a gesture that spoke of reassurance and unity. We shall proceed gradually, remaining ever aware of one another's emotions and boundaries. Our bond is distinct and invaluable, and I am convinced it deserves to be cultivated, irrespective of societal pressures or conventions. After we completed our breakfast, our conversation slowly transitioned to more ordinary subjects, discussing plans for the day, upcoming university assignments, and similar matters. Yet beneath the surface, a subtle shift in our dynamic emerged, a recognition of the shared journey we had embarked upon and the mutual consent that underpinned our every interaction. As Ethan rose to depart for his classes, he hesitated, casting a glance back at me that conveyed both gratitude and a depth of unvoiced emotion. I appreciate all that you have done. Shall we meet this evening? A smile graced my lips, a wave of tranquility washing over me as I recognized the journey we had embarked upon together. Indeed, Ethan, I shall see you this evening. With that, he departed the apartment, the click of the front door acting as a definitive punctuation mark, heralding the beginning of a new chapter in our lives. Once again in solitude, I permitted myself to ponder the significant transformations that had unfolded in such a brief period. The dynamics between Elena and Stepson had undergone a profound transformation, reshaped by the newfound respect and understanding that emerged from our recent exchanges. As the day progressed, my mind frequently wandered back to Ethan and the unique connection we were developing. The night stretched out before us, brimming with the potential for discovery, an opportunity to immerse ourselves in the intricate weave of our collective longings. The road ahead was laden with obstacles and lurking dangers, yet I approached the adventure with a blend of trepidation and hopeful anticipation. The understanding that Ethan perceived our experience as something beneficial, even healing, soothed any residual uncertainties I may have held regarding the appropriateness of our choices. We navigated through unknown realms, driven by a shared dedication to truth, respect, and the quest for a bond that surpassed the ordinary limits of our relationship. As the sun sank beneath the horizon, casting a gentle light throughout the apartment, I readied myself for Ethan's arrival. The thrill that coursed through me was a reflection of my profound connection to his existence, a connection that had veered into uncharted territory, yet one I had learned to welcome wholeheartedly. As the day drew to a close, long shadows stretched across the cityscape beyond our windows, and I felt a growing sense of anticipation for the evening that lay ahead. The hours slipped away in a haze of household chores and silent reflection, each tick of the clock drawing me nearer to the instant when Ethan and I would reunite in our mutual journey of longing and intimacy. The apartment bathed in the gentle light of dusk. I heard the unmistakable sound of his key turning in the lock. My heart soared within me, a whirlwind of anticipation and exhilaration orchestrating a delicate ballet inside my ribcage. That evening, I meticulously curated my appearance, selecting an outfit that balanced comfort with allure, a quiet acknowledgement of the essence of our unvoiced understanding. Ethan entered the front door, his presence enveloping the room in a warmth that was simultaneously soothing and charged with excitement. "Greetings?" He welcomed me, his voice a soothing touch that wrapped around me in a gentle hold. "Welcome back," I said, my smile intended to express both my fondness and my commitment to uphold the terms of our agreement. "I hope your day has been fruitful." He nodded, placing his backpack by the door before approaching where I stood. It was, I must confess, my mind was quite absorbed with the impending evening. His candid admission sent a thrill through me, unmistakably signaling that we were both wholeheartedly dedicated to the journey we had embarked upon. It brings me joy to learn that I too have eagerly anticipated our time together. We lingered in a serene silence, the atmosphere around us electric with the anticipation of what was yet to come. Ethan's gaze was a tapestry woven with threads of anticipation and a whisper of vulnerability, a poignant reminder that even amidst his burgeoning confidence, he continued to traverse the intricate landscape of our unconventional connection. "Shall we proceed?" He extended his hand toward me, a silent invitation lingering in the air. I took his outstretched hand, our fingers weaving together in a way that was at once comforting and refreshingly novel. "Indeed, let us." We made our way to the living room, where the soft lighting and comfortable furnishings created the perfect atmosphere for our encore. Ethan grasped the remote control, activating the television and preparing a video renowned for its provocative nature, a spark for the yearnings we had only recently begun to delve into. As the video unfolded, the actors on screen immersed in fervent displays of emotion. I sensed a warmth enveloping me, a primal reaction to the visuals that intensified my consciousness of Ethan's presence beside me. The warmth emanated from his skin, each breath becoming more distinct as his excitement intensified with the scenes that played out before him. After a brief pause, he shifted his focus to me, his eyes burning with an unarticulated longing. "I invite you to join me in this endeavor." He spoke, his voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "Could you lend me a hand?" The fragility in his plea was an irresistible allure, a reflection of the faith he had in me to navigate the shadowy depths of our intertwined longings. "Certainly, Ethan. I stand ready to support you in any manner you require." In that moment, I extended my hand, finding his and offering a gentle squeeze of reassurance. Our gazes held steady, an unbroken connection as my fingers roamed, delicately outlining the shapes of his form with a devotion that felt almost sacred. Every gasp and shudder that coursed through him acted as a quiet testament to the bond that was intensifying between us with each fleeting moment. As my hand descended, brushing against the unmistakable evidence of his desire through the fabric of his pants, Ethan's breath caught in his throat, a vivid indication of his growing urgency. "Please," he murmured, a single word that held within it a universe of yearning and passion. In response, I skillfully unbuckled his belt, my fingers moving with a familiar grace to liberate him from the confines of his attire. The gesture embodied a surrender to his desires while simultaneously affirming my own position in this intricate interplay of ecstasy and fragility. I sat beside him quietly, offering presence and understanding during a moment of deep emotion, Ethan's head tilted back against the sofa, his eyes drifting shut as he yielded to the surge of sensations that flowed through him. The image of him, consumed by his own fervent longing, acted as a potent catalyst, igniting the embers of my own awakening desire. Our movements grew increasingly frantic, the symphony of our shared ecstasy intertwining with the provocative sounds spilling forth from the television. It unfolded like a grand composition of longing, a reflection of the profound bond we shared and the audacity with which we decided to welcome it. In a surge of fervent desire, Ethan's hand found its way to the nape of my neck, drawing me closer to him with an irresistible pull. Our lips met in a kiss that felt like both a return and an awakening, a gentle yet passionate journey that whispered of hidden truths and the silent ties that united us. The kiss intensified, our tongues weaving together in a choreography that echoed the cadence of our clasped hands beneath. It was a passage into the sacred, a palpable manifestation of the love and longing that had flourished between us, defying the constraints of societal norms and expectations. As our embrace deepened, Ethan's hands began to wander over the curves and contours of my body, each caress a quiet vow of the ecstasy that awaited us. I reciprocated, my fingers exploring the fabric of his clothing, seeking the warmth of the bare skin that rested beneath. The intensification of our passion was unavoidable, a seamless transition from the deliberate discovery of our earlier meetings to the uninhibited manifestation of our shared longing. We peeled away our layers with a reverence that approached the sacred, our gazes savoring the beauty of each other's unveiled bodies. As we finally stood before each other, unadorned and vulnerable, I felt Ethan's hands quiver ever so slightly as he led me to the sofa beside him. The fervor in his eyes as he loomed over me spoke volumes about the emotions swirling within him, a blend of longing, gentleness, and an undeniable bond that went far beyond the mere physicality of the moment we were about to share. Our intimacy unfolded like a gentle dance, a tribute to the connection that had been shaped in the heat of our mutual longings. Ethan's every touch, every kiss, every whispered endearment was a poignant reminder that our relationship had transcended the boundaries of mere Elena and Stepson. We were partners in every sense of the term, intertwined by a bond that was both exquisite and intricate. As we ascended to the peak of our mutual ecstasy, we shared a moment of emotional closeness. Unlike anything we had experienced before, I realized we had passed a threshold from which there was no turning back. The intimate dance that commenced as a mere exploration of longing had transformed into a deeper connection, a sacred union that had forever intertwined our destinies. In the aftermath, as we lay entwined in each other's embrace, the silence that surrounded us was a soothing one, imbued with the unvoiced understanding of what we had just shared. Ethan placed a soft kiss on my forehead, a quiet recognition of the path we had traveled side by side, a path that had irrevocably changed the trajectory of our lives. In the days that ensued, Ethan and I found ourselves embracing a new cadence, marked by the rise and fall of our evolving bond. Our exchanges danced on the edge of everyday familiarity and the exhilarating rush of our secret adventures, each instant woven into the fabric of our extraordinary bond. The mornings unfolded in a serene quietude, where exchanged glances and subtle smiles across the breakfast table became unspoken affirmations of the closeness we had cultivated. In soft whispers, we exchanged words about inconsequential things, the ordinary dialogue a sharp juxtaposition to the latent yearning that quietly bubbled beneath the facade. While Ethan immersed himself in his university classes, I drifted into contemplation, pondering the significant transformation that had unfolded between us. The afternoons unfolded like a vast canvas, brimming with potential that was as thrilling as it was intimidating in its promise. As I immersed myself in work and the myriad of household chores, a constant awareness of the clock echoed in my mind, each tick a reminder of the fleeting hours until Ethan would finally come home. Every evening, we gathered once more in the haven of our communal abode, the well-known environment serving as a canvas for our ongoing discovery of each other. The rituals we created served as both solace and a spark for the longings that had woven themselves into the fabric of our relationship. We engaged in dialogue, we found joy, we exchanged thoughts. Every encounter draws us deeper into the uncharted realms of our connection. Our evenings frequently reached their zenith in the living room, where the gentle illumination of the lamp enveloped us in a tender warmth that danced upon our bare skin. The closeness we experienced was a rich fabric woven from touch and taste, every moment a delicate exploration of shared delight and the limits of our physical bond. The outside world faded away as we immersed ourselves in a collective bliss that served as both sanctuary and insight. As the nights grew darker, we lay intertwined, the stillness of the apartment a reflection of the profound trust we held for one another. Ethan's head nestled against my chest, his breaths rhythmic and tranquil as the embrace of sleep began to envelop him. In those hushed intervals, I discovered a space for contemplation on the journey that brought us to this point, a journey defined by unforeseen twists and the bravery to navigate the intricacies of our changing bond. In the quiet embrace of our shared bed, I found myself contemplating the future, the unvoiced questions that hovered at the periphery of my mind. What fate awaited us, this fragile equilibrium we had painstakingly crafted? As Ethan's hand grasped mine in the shadows, I felt a surge of our connection, a bond crafted through vulnerability and the steadfast conviction that what we held was worth every risk taken. Thus, we pressed forward, day after day, our lives woven together in a delicate ballet of fervor and affection. Outside, the world may cast its judgments, attempting to confine love and family within rigid boundaries. Yet, within the sanctuary of our home, Ethan and I have forged a realm that belongs solely to us, a haven where we can delve into the depths of our desires and embrace the limitless possibilities of our shared future.